Hi, I'm Samuel Rosenblatt, and I am the youth pastor here at Community Christian Church of Moore Park. And we are going to sing Angels We Have Heard on High. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. In excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and sing, him whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria in excelsis Deo. In excelsis Deo. This is Go Tell It on the Mountain. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is Lord. While shepherds kept their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger, our humble Christ was born, and brought us God's salvation, that blessed Christmas morn. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
Hey there, kids. Welcome back to Sunday School. My name is Abigail, and I am a teacher here at Community Christian Church of Moore Park. And today we are going to be reading the story about an angel that visits Zachariah. So let's go ahead and watch this story. Elizabeth was on her knees praying. Her husband tiptoed into the room where she was. Is she still praying for a son? Thought Zachariah. After all these years, if only God had given us a son. Now we are too old to have children, and we have no one to carry out our name after we die. Elizabeth got up from her knees. Are you still praying for a son? Asked Zachariah. No, said Elizabeth. I am too old to have a child now, but I felt very close to the Lord today. I was telling him how much I loved him and wanted to obey him. Please pray for me too today, said Zachariah. It is the most important day of my life. I have been chosen to offer incense in the holy place at the temple. To Zachariah, this was the chance of a lifetime. As a member of the tribe of Levi and as a priest of the temple of Jerusalem, Zachariah was to offer incense in the holy place. When Zachariah entered the temple, it was evening. A great crowd stood outside of the temple court praying, as they always did. Zechariah entered into the holy place, expecting to offer up the incense and then go back to the people outside to lead them in prayer. Suddenly he stopped praying, and he saw an angel standing right at the altar. Zechariah was terrified. "Don't be afraid," said the angel. "God has heard your prayers and your wife's prayers. God is going to give you a son. You are to name him John. He will bring you great joy and gladness. He will be one of the Lord's greatest prophets, and many people will turn to God because of him. Most importantly, he will prepare the people for the coming of the Messiah." Zachariah couldn't believe what he had just heard. "That's impossible," he said. "My wife and I are too old to have a child." "I am the angel Gabriel. God has sent me to bring you the good news," the angel said. "But you refused to believe it. Because you didn't believe, you will not be able to speak until your son is born." Then, as suddenly as the angel had appeared, he disappeared, and Zacharias stayed a long time in the holy place, and the people wondered what had happened to him. When he finally came out, the people waited for him to speak, but he couldn't say a word. He gestured to the people to let him know that he couldn't talk. Zacharias stayed in the temple to finish his work, but he could hardly wait to tell Elizabeth the good news. When he arrived home, he wrote on a piece of paper, "We are going to have a son." At first, it must have seemed impossible for Elizabeth to believe, but as weeks and months went by, Elizabeth could hardly wait for the baby to be born. When it was time for the baby to be born, it was a boy, just as the angel had said. Friends and relatives were happy for the new baby, but Elizabeth and Zachariah were the happiest of all. Zachariah probably shouted for joy when the baby was born, and he could then speak again, just as the angel had said. God is not bound by our human limitations. Zachariah doubted God because to him having a child at his age was an impossibility. Sometimes we too doubt God and make the mistake of trusting our faulty reason and experience, but with God, nothing is impossible. Our memory verse for this week is, "Thou shalt go before the face of the Lord and prepare his ways." Luke 1:76. What we need to remember from this story is that God keeps his promises, even if it sounds crazy to you, that whatever the case might happen, just like Elizabeth carrying John, she probably thought, "This is crazy. I am super old and I cannot carry this child." But we need to remember that God keeps his promises to his children. And so God fulfilled his promise to Elizabeth and kept the promise with her. And that's something that we need to remember as we remember this story. All right, kids, I want you guys to remember that you guys have glue sticks in your guys' bags and to not lose those, because we will be using those as time goes on throughout this month. So the first thing that you guys have in your guys' activity bag is an unscrambling of all of these words. So you need to rearrange the letters to discover the word that relates to the story. The next thing that you guys have in your activity bag is a coloring page of Elizabeth, Zachariah, and John. All right, kids, so the next thing you guys are going to pull out is this coloring page that looks like this, that has this little strip at the top. And the first thing that you guys are going to do is color this coloring page. All right, so then what you guys are gonna do after you guys have colored it is you guys are going to cut across this line up here at the top. And then after you do that, you're gonna cut around the dotted line here. And there we go. And then on your guys' page, you will notice that this part right here has a little slip. And so what you guys are gonna do is you guys are gonna take the word John and you guys are going to slip it down into the bottom portion like this. See, it's disappearing. And then you're gonna push it through the top part so that it goes behind, and then it should look like this. And on the back, it'll look kind of like this. And so you'll see that little flappy piece. So there is your craft.
This is Jesus Loves Me. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong, they are weak but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so. This is Silent Night. All is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, only infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, God's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy birth.
All right, kids, that is all that I have for you guys. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, kids.